So we're back on Total War Warhammer 2 as that thick Toad of the Stars strides to war against the Dawi of the World's Edge Mountains, astride that resplendent ancient Stegodon, the Stegosaurus of the gods, and this is what I would consider a very interesting matchup. It's gone through a lot of iterations since the game first came out. I would say that the Lizardmen had it handily in the bag when Total War Warhammer 2 first dropped, but it's kind of shifted in the Dawi's favor, and there are a myriad of reasons for that, which we'll cover as we go through this video, but let's go over army compositions first. So, for Aerocrastic, who's commanding Lizardmen, a front line of Saurus warriors with shields, cost efficient, they're going to be able to trade very well with Longbeards or most of the Dawi infantry when you plop Curse of the Midnight Wind down. They don't have a massive amount of armor piercing, but at that 52 weapon strength, 18 of it is AP, so it's not all bad, and certainly when you debuff enemy armor and just kind of get into a long, grinded out melee fest, they can do okay for you. Then you've got some skink cohorts on the left flank, Basilodon with the Revivification Crystal, and over here the Horned Ones, and some Cold Ones, some Feral Cold Ones. So, look, the Horned Ones are one of those units that is just a big, like, WTF. Like, they have amazing stats, right? They're kind of low melee defense, but they have good armor, insane weapon strength, they hit like a truck, but they have Rampage. And we already know the drill with Rampage. When you've got an incredibly expensive 1400 gold cavalry unit, an elite cav unit, you do not want to lose control of them. There were lots of cavalry units on tabletop, Blood Knights being one of them, that had Frenzy, right? And Frenzy, when in the tabletop game, translated to having to chase units off the field, basically, until they either killed them all or figured something else out. Issue with it in a Total War game is that it absolutely blows to lose control of your units. And when you're talking about 1400 gold, that's a huge chunk of your army that you no longer have control over. So when a Horned One drops below 50% HP and you lose control of them, it's a big deal. It's a big problem. So they're, on paper, tailor-made to absolutely wreck the Dwarfs with that high weapon strength, that massive amounts of AP. But in translation, it can get pretty challenging. So they're one of those units that can absolutely win the game for you. They can crush it if you can keep them healed, and that's why the Basilodon Revivification Crystal is on the field right now. But it's one of those things where if you can't and they rampage and go into something like Giant Slayers, you're going to be having a real bad time real quick, because they've got 43 weapon strength, armor piercing, and bonus versus large. It's not going to be fun if these guys get their hands on them. So there's a couple ways that the Dawi can deal with the Lizardmen rush build, right? And one of the best ways, I think, is going very cheap with the Rune Lord, with that Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin that has 48% debuff to enemy speed on whatever unit you cast it on, and it's going to do like a fourth of their health in a single cast. You stack that with a Runesmith, who's got 4 charges rather than 3, but a less impactful Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and you've got a lot of ways to mitigate the mobility of enemy cav and kind of just nuke them down before they ever really get a chance to do a lot of damage. So Runesmith and Rune Lord is always going to be a great combination to deal with that kind of stuff. Then you add Dragonback Slayers into the mix with their slowing aura when they hit you in melee, Giant Slayers with their high weapon strength, their armor piercing, their bonus versus large, and then some Rangers with great weapons, which also have a ton of AP. Thunderers, you kind of create this concave formation, spread it out, go wide, and you can deal with the Lizardmen really well. Now, Lizardmen also obviously have some tools in this matchup. Mazdamundi, the thick Toad of the Stars, is one of them. He's got some great banishment vortexes, which will absolutely wreck heavily armored dwarf infantry. He's got the Ruination of Cities, which is also a great kind of wind spell. It's not really a wind spell, it's more like a vortex kind of. I don't even know exactly what it's called. But it wrecks stuff when it hits appropriately, and so casting that in the middle of formation, part of it is RNGs. You kind of have to believe in Ronald to help you out there, but it'll do a lot of damage as well. So Mazdamundi has plenty of damage output, then of course he also has a bonus versus infantry armor piercing monster that has massive amounts of mass and will just kind of carve through you. And so we'll see it right here, the Ruination of Cities early on. Gonna do some decent damage to the Rangers with great weapons early, and the Thunderers will kind of get clipped as well. But obviously the Thunderers are gonna open up and start shooting into the big Stegosaurus. So we've got a banishment going down here, and that is gonna be a really nice cast. Looks like Pippington is not gonna get out of the way in time, and he's gonna take half damage on those Thunderers right from that vortex. And already, as you'd expect, the Lizardmen are going to get very aggressive and try to get into melee and start running stuff over with their Lizardmen rush build. So we've got Horned Ones out on the flanks here. They have a low amount of models too, kind of a low amount of HP. I want to say Dragon Princes have like 600 HP more than they do. So that model count does matter, but keep them close to the Basilodon with Vivification Crystal, and you can keep them topped off pretty nicely. And again, that charge bonus and that weapon strength can do some serious work in the Dawi back lines. So we'll take a look here, and right off the start, the Basilodon and the Stegodon, with Mazdamundi atop it, will charge into the flank of these miners, start running them over, and then get directly into the high-value targets. We're talking about the Thunders, talking about the Rangers with great weapons, cannot let them fire in to the main line and start wrecking those Saurus. So, right in the center here, as you would expect, Curse of the Midnight Wind going down. Super good debuff, minus 30 armor, minus 26 melee attack, and he's going to overcast it. So everything in the center here is going to trade much less cost efficiently. So these Saurus are going to get beat up because they have the Rangers with great weapons throwing into them, but these ones should trade a lot more cost efficiently, and in a long grinded out melee fest, I think they would probably win. Now the Stegodon and Mazdamundi still charging, and they're going to get directly into the flank of the Rangers and absolutely start running them over. And I swear to God, it's the most satisfying thing ever. Horned One's already in there, getting a nice charge into the back of these Dwarf Longbeards. And that's a great way to deal with an armored front line, right? You talk about 55 charge bonus, you talk about all that weapon strength, it's going to do some serious work against them. Problem is, the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin and the Rune of Wrath and Ruin will stack up, and each one of those casts will do, I guess, about a fourth or a third HP, and really slow down their mobility, which means Thunders, which means the Dwarf Warriors, the Rangers rather, can really start picking them apart. So already, just that one cast, look how much damage they've taken. 14 kills off the charge, not bad, but Slayers are right there to help reinforce, and Dragonback Slayers are kind of a problem for them too. Now over here, the Cav has not decided to spring their ambush yet, but Pippington is doing a very good job of spreading out his range units and making sure that Mazdamundi can't shut them all down at once, and so he's got that enfilade fire going on, and Mazdamundi already down to half HP. Which is a bit of an issue for the Lizardmen, but the mainline infantry fight is going pretty well. You can see the Longbeards are getting beat up. These ones were winning at the beginning, but already it's been turning quite a bit, and you can see, I really like this move actually from Aerocrastic. So, it looks like, oh, he's just suiciding his Cav, and to an extent, he is, but look at what that's going to do, right? He's tying down these Giant Slayers, which will then allow these bad boys to get in and go right for the Rangers, right for the cannon crew, and then right for the hammer and anvil on the main line. And he needs that to turn this infantry fight in his favor. Bounce bar a little bit in the favor of the Dawi right now, but we can see a really nice charge come in, and he's tying up those Giant Slayers, kind of pulling them away from the main line engagement, and that gives Mazdamundi a lot more time to do what he wants to do, which is absolutely start running over the back lines. And the Horned Ones are here. The Rune Lord is going to try to sally forth and be like, try to stop the massive avalanche of Raptor breath coming in now, but a huge charge. They'll run over the Rangers and then keep moving. Keep that cycle charge going, and look at this charge, man. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to see them just kind of take to the skies. Longbeards going flying everywhere, and that's what you see when you see stunties get hit by that much mass. The Horned Ones are powerful off the charge, and especially if they stick in melee for a couple seconds here, get the full advantage of their charge bonus, these Longbeards are pretty much going to get shattered off the impetus of that charge. Mazdamundi using both Cold-Blooded and Apotheosis to keep him topped off, so he's kind of low right now, but it's a gigantic HP pool, so it's not the biggest deal. Slayers are rallying forth now, trying to shut down the Horned Ones, and they got, looks like 22 kills off that charge, so they've got even more time to do their business now. And then over here, these Horned Ones are up to 31. So the Thunders have kind of been shut down here by the Skink Cohort, like that move right there for sure. Rune Lord sallying forth, and Mazdamundi is doing a really good job of shutting down those Thunders, and we've got another Ruination of Cities about to be in the middle of the Dwarf back lines, and goodbye, sweet Thunders. Beautiful cast right there. And those Rangers need to get back. Yeah, they're a little bit too far up right now. Basilodon causing tear, but the Giant Slayers are really close by as well. And I think that so far the Lizardmen have done a really good job of kind of putting a lot of pressure on the back lines here and surrounding these range units, making sure that they can't do everything they want to do. Now this is going to be incredibly important. Shield of the Old Ones going down. We've got that 44% magic resistance, which will help a lot as the banishment arcs through their own lines. But that +8 leadership will also keep them in the fight and allow this blob of Dwarf infantry to get pinned in place. And watch the damage output as this banishment rips through the Dawi lines, absolutely shredding them. Beautiful cast from Mazdamundi. That's going to rack him up over 100 kills. It didn't just kill the Grumbling Guard, which was an important value target to kill. The Giant Slayers are also going to take a ton of damage there, and that's really going to turn the infantry fight back in his favor. So this was going absolutely horribly for the Lizardmen, this side of the engagement, but with that Vortex, a beautifully cast one by Mazdamundi, he's up to 151 kills now, and he's in a lot better shape. Horned Ones, 38 kills, another Rune of Wrath and Ruin going down, this time the Master Rune does so much damage to Cav, and it means they will rampage, and they're going to go directly into the Cannon Crew and the Thunders, which thankfully is not a bad target for them. They're going to be able to do a lot of killing right there. But the Rangers need to get shut down. Another big charge from Zlak, just absolutely bowling them over on that Ancient Stegodon. And Mazdamundi's going to need to do some serious work here to turn this fight. The balance bar still in the favor of the Dawi. A lot of really damaged infantry units for the Dawi main line, but the Saurus have been crushed in their fight. Longbeards, they got beat up too. Apotheosis is going to try to keep them in there, cause fear, which will help a lot. But again, Longbeards are actually immune to psych, so no, it won't. Actually, you're right. No, the Apotheosis, the fear aspect of it isn't going to help in this battle at all. Almost everything on the front line was a Longbeard, so they're all immune to psych. But the heal will definitely keep them in the fight, and it's actually stabilized them. You might be able to pull out against those guys and win. But the Dragonback Slayers are completely surrounded back here, getting absolutely shish kebab by Horned Ones. It's what you would think would be a good fight when you've got Saurus in there as well, kind of absorbing a lot of that damage in the Skink cohorts. They're really not having a great time. They have 68 kills, but I think they're going to take a lot of damage here. Problem is, Rune of Wrath and Ruin continues to get cycled by Pippington, and the Dwarfs are doing a really good job of keeping that on the high-value targets, making sure that the Horned Ones continuously get nuked down, and each time that happens, their HP drops closer and closer to zero, and Lizardmen really want to have that Cav for those hammering anvils. Mazdamundi up to 193 kills now, another Apotheosis to try to keep him topped off, but he's in combat with Slayers, and he needs to disengage and go for something a little bit squishier, and those Rangers will certainly qualify. Very nice charge right there. Let's take a look at the entire battle shield. The old one's going down. Again, keeping the Saurus Warriors in there, but their leadership is very close to zero. More charges from Mazdamundi continuously causing those huge charges, those huge morale penalties on the back lines. But the Slayers are conglomerating, and that's a problem because Mazdamundi, with 1,000 health left, really can't fight that many Giant Slayers, and even the Rangers with great weapons can fight in melee against him to an extent with their own AP. So he needs to disengage and maybe look for another Vortex if he has another Banishment. I've only seen one go off this battle. I'm not sure if he's used the other one, so getting that cast off would be huge. He's gonna route here. Balance bar shifting in the Dwarf's favor a little bit right now. Saurus making their last stand, but I would argue this is not over yet. The Rune Lord is going to do nothing in melee combat. He's not really much of a threat. Killing that Basilodon is not going to be too easy. If Mazdamundi can rally here, he's going to be in alright shape and be able to continue to cast those heals alongside the Revivification Crystal. Problem is, the Dragonback Slayers have that slowing aura when they make contact with you, and right now, there's no reason for Pippington to pull them off the Stegodon. He's going to continue chasing. And if this Stegodon gets chased off the field, obviously, it's going to be game, set, match for the children of the old ones here. So he's just going to kind of bobble and waddle his way, try to get some space here. And it's kind of interesting. A lot of units have a lot of different interactions in terms of when they actually come back to a fight. Sometimes you'll get huge gaps between you and whoever's chasing you, and you won't rally. Sometimes the Lord will only be like 5-10 feet away and will actually decide, hey, I want to come back. So I think there's a bit of RNGs to that as well. I'm not sure all the hidden mechanics there. But Mazdamundi is going to rally here. Basilodon is not in a great spot. I mean, it really just doesn't do very much damage. Such low melee attack and low melee defense. It's not really meant to be in prolonged combat with Slayers for sure. Saurus doing what they can here, up to 94 kills, chasing off a lot of Dwarf units. But the Rune Lord just cast his last Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and that will be the end of these poor Horned Ones, who ended up getting 46 kills, which is not incredibly impressive. I think the other one actually did a lot better, but the last Rune of Wrath and Ruin going down, and that's going to hurt the Saurus as they charge forward. And back here, Mazdamundi, surrounded by Dragonback Slayers, and look as that HP drops. They are meant for this kind of combat. Tail Thwap might send a few to the Nether Realm, but he's going to drop here. Mazdamundi's got no chance of winning this combat. The Saurus are on their last legs, and once the Lord goes down, the Dawi are going to take this battle, and the fat boy is going to fall off his dino. Jurassic Park will fail, and it looks like the Dwarfs and Pippington will take this against Aerocrastic and Mazdamundi. So, army composition-wise, there are a couple things that obviously could use some changing. This was a friendly match, so it wasn't like a tournament or anything. They were just trying stuff out. I believe there's actually a bet whether they can make Horned Ones work very well. Horned Ones did okay. I mean, 96 kills, it ain't bad. But is it cost efficient against Longbeards and stuff? Yeah, maybe. 46 kills certainly isn't. What do I think about Horned Ones in the matchup? They can work. You can actually synergize very well with the Horn of Kygor from Asaurus Old Blood and kind of rock them together with that extra charge bonus, extra melee attack, and that can be very potent as well. I'm not sure if there is quite enough support for them. The Curse of the Midnight Winds were going down on the main line, which means the Horned Ones maybe didn't get all the support they would have liked to have. But it's a 1,400 gold unit, right? Do you really want to have to invest a lot in supporting them? They're tailor-made for killing Dwarf Infantry, but when you've got these two bad boys right here, the Rune of Wrath and Ruin and the Master Rune, it stacks up and that damage will really send them into the Nether Realm really quick, which sucks. So you've got to be super on point with your heals, and if you're not, they're gonna die pretty quick there. So I don't think Horned Ones are a terrible unit, but they're not good either. The Rampage just makes them so frustrating to use. Like, imagine if Blood Knights had Rampage. Well, imagine if you just completely lost control of them. Nobody would ever bring them because it'd be incredibly frustrating. You wouldn't get the usage you want out of them. You wouldn't get the utility out of them. Same thing with them. So, look, I think that if you want to beat Dwarfs here, and I'd say that this matchup in Dwarfs versus Lizardmen, I'd say it's a little bit advantageous for the Dwarfs right now just because they have so many tools for shutting down the dinos. If you go Jurassic Park style and just go straight dino spam and run at the Dwarfs, I'm really not sure that stuff like Stegodons and Carnosaurs are really going to do enough damage quick enough before all these Thunderers and all these armor-piercing troops can whittle you down and kill you. So I don't think that going dino spam against Dwarfs is the way to go. Especially with the addition of Giant Slayers, it really makes it hard for them. So I think that going wide is the right play, and to an extent, he went wide here. Going like 5 or 6 Saurus Warriors or Shields makes a ton of sense. Obviously, they're just cost efficient. They're good at what they do. But I think going maybe like 4 or 5 regular Cold Ones that also, for some reason, don't have Rampage, which makes no sense. Why do they not have Rampage? I don't get it. Like, you're going to put it on the most elite, but not lowest tier ones? And I think in the lore, Horned Ones were actually the ones that did not Rampage. So I think there's a lot of really weird design issues with Horned Ones in general when they're Rampage. But yeah, I think going like 4 or 5 regular Cold Ones, maybe dropping one of these Feral Cold Ones, and then going a little bit wider would have really helped, because it means that the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin is going to be going on less high-value targets, and when you've got more Cav, then each one of those spells is going to be less important when it hurts you, because it's just being spread out against more cost-efficient troops. So yeah, I think 4 or 5 Cold Ones would have been good there. He would have gotten more line coverage in the back, been able to shut down more of those range units. Mazdamundi is a great choice in this matchup. Ruination of Cities and the Banishments are amazing. And the heals, I mean, he got a lot of those Basilodon Revivification Crystal heals off, but it just did not keep them in the fight long enough because Pippington did a really good job of stacking up all that stuff. Now, there is one other way, or one other tool that I think Lizardmen should use in this matchup a bit more frequently, and those are the Chameleon Skinks. They're good in a ton of matchups, but they're also really good against the Dwarfs. Not so much against their main infantry, like Longbeards and stuff, don't really care if they get shot by them, but the Slayers. 2 Giant Slayers and the Dragonback Slayers. Poking them down with Vanguard deployed Chameleon Skinks would have been super useful. Poisoning them, debuffing them, keeping their mobility down would have given Mazdamundi and the Horned Ones more time to do what they wanted to do. And obviously you wouldn't have been able to afford all of that, but some changes there with Chameleon Skinks and stuff, I think they can be a really good thing in the matchup, because they're very good at killing, especially Giant Slayers who don't have that 30% missile block chance. So both these guys would have taken a lot of damage to them because they have low armor, and I think they would have just been a nice distraction tool in the back lines to kind of allow the more important targets to do their damage. So I like Horned Ones, like in terms of their aesthetic, and I think they could be really cool at some point in the future and really good at some point in the future, but right now they're not there yet. Rampage makes them suck, and I would like to see that disappear. So maybe when the Lizardmen DLC drops in January or February, we'll see some changes to them. I think they need it. but they are one of those units that can certainly be used well in some matchups. It can work against the Dwarfs. It's just hard because they've got some tools to deal with them. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game, and I will be bringing you some more content very soon. Indie Pride, signing out for now. Have a good one, guys.